Hey guys, welcome to this video. Thanks for tuning in, sharing in this now moment with myself and with one another. If you haven't seen these videos before, welcome. Welcome back if you have. My intention is unity and oneness and the highest levels of love light. I just want to go into a little flow. It's morning for me. I'm enjoying this coffee. How was that eclipse last night for you guys? Wowza. It was one of the most beautiful eclipses I've ever seen. It was a full moon. Was it a blood moon? I think it was. Full moon. I mean, I could tell you there's so many things that added up last night where I was just like, this is pretty magical. My sister gave me a surprise visit this week, so I got to enjoy the eclipse with her, which was even more magical. I found myself walking around the perimeters of my property and house barefoot and just kind of grounding the energies, and I just kind of walked where I was guided to walk, in the direction I was guided to walk. And I just really kind of tuned into Mother Earth. So that was kind of what I did for my space. I set my intention to anchor and ground the highest frequencies of love, light, and peace, bliss, joy. My intention right now is to go into just a little bit of flow. So kind of see where this goes. When I go into flow, I'm just kind of opening up my central space, line of communication. I called it for a long time my higher guidance team, and I still will, but it's my higher self. It's the access points in which I'm connecting into the nodes, if you will, the knowingness, the accessing the multidimensionality that we all have access to. And so as we kind of allow ourselves to open in this way, we let go of a certain boundaries from one perspective. I find myself moving into a space of fluidity that just allows me to let go of thinking. Although when the words come through, sometimes I'm guided to stop and offer recognition to some of the meanings that are coming through. So I'm just going to flow. Cheers. And accessing our inner divine wisdom, as we access our inner divine wisdom, as we move into a space of knowingness, we allow all of the encumberments, if you will, and a lot of this is a play on words, so that which binds us down, that which holds us back, that which keeps us behind, that which keeps us looking backwards, that which keeps us looking behind, all drops away from one perspective. And as I tune into one perspective, I allow myself to see many different perspectives that are held within one view, for the oneness that is within can access a multiple dimensional multiplicity, if you will, the ability to tune into multiple simplicities, the simplistic fonts, if you will, different forms of recognition, different frequency combinations that allow a space to open, that allow us to move into a broadening view, broadening perspective, that allows us to hold within our own container, to open that container, yet to also shift our directive, allowing ourselves to move into a space of resonance. As we move into this inner space of resonance, this inner residency, as we find residence within our resonance, as we allow ourselves to expand into the multidimensionality that we all are existing within, we may form a combination of views. We may form a combination, play on words, combination of perspectives. And so we find which perspective suits us best in that now moment. Yet we also then can create a multilinguistic directive, a directional perspective that allows us to uplift and move through certain angles that no longer geometrically comply. That's a play on words. I'm seeing complete, and allow us to reply, allows us to get out of complacency. So we move into what no longer fits our directional linguistics, that which we have told ourselves for many different eons, that which we have been told from many different eons, that which we have been told to believe in, that which we once believed in, then shifts and changes. For we no longer comply with the old complacency, that which has been interlaced and interwoven with a lower consistency of frequency patterns. So I just am being guided to share. Essentially, we're coming into a space of a new space. And this is something that has been a long time coming, is what I'm hearing. And so we each hold different perspectives. It doesn't mean that we have to change completely and take on this new pattern that perhaps someone else is offering. Each individual person on this planet is really being called from the messages that I've been receiving to find their own way. Even though we're going back into this wholeness and oneness, it's not necessarily getting lost in someone else's perspective. So when I offer many different perspectives, I can easily see things from many different angles, and it's right from different angles. But there is a deeper knowingness, and there are certain things for me that are not right. They are not the right angle for me. They are not necessarily producing the vocabulary that I seek to speak. And so it's important for each of us to tune into our own language of the heart, this unfurling, if you will, that allows us to hit the start button and the restart button. So I'm seeing that there's a group of people that are, they have their finger on the pulse. They think they have their finger on the pulse, but they have their finger on the pulse of what has been. And so I'm not going to get into that because I've talked about it so much, but restart and start. Some people aren't sure when to start. They're waiting for a directive. They're waiting for a director. And others are wanting to start over and hit that restart button. And this is the time to do it. So this eclipse for me signified an ending and a beginning, and a new beginning. Yet when I say anew, I think of the slip knot and the frequency in the heart. And it's going back to that home base. So I could talk about that in every video, right? Because it's so important. And if we're waiting for someone else to tell us when to hit that button, when to hit the switches, when to switch our directive, we're going to find that we're going to continually get lost in the shuffle. It's one of those days. Every day I'm shuffling. Essentially, we get lost in the remix, and we find it more difficult to find our inner intuition, our inner score, our inner balance, our inner musical note that makes us get excited. That floats our boat. And that isn't just for the collective experience, because our individual unique feeling is floating the collective experience, because we're all part of this floatopia, if you will. And I'm going to go into some light language. We each find our own linguistical patterning, if you will. We each find our own cues and our own clues that assist us in moving through and finding the juice that lights our fire, the nectar, if you will, the desire that we have to build something, to form words, to form communication, for we are in form, are we not? Are we in constant information, yet we are being pulled into the ... We are being invited to feel into our own pattern recognition. We are being invited to find our own codes that keep us going, that are inviting us to move into a higher state of presence. So part of what I'm being guided to share is it's not always about doing, it's not always about building. Sometimes just by being present with our own state of awareness, our own state of being, right? It's a statement in itself. It is the linguistics. It is our speech recognition, because then it gives us the opportunity to recognize our own deeper recognition, our own, when I say linguistics, it's speech, sound, feeling, movement, all of it. And it creates our own font, our own signature, our own signature frequency. And I'm hearing signification, signify. It allows us to factor in a higher divination, emboldening us, creating that embold mark, making our mark. And it can be just from us holding space. Yet we are being called to create in that space. We are being called to fine tune, find our tune. We are being called to feel into that space and create within that container and move out of that which we have been contained in before. Yet we combine this, click, 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 we lock into these signature frequencies, and we recognize the subset, within the bubble, that is having this ripple effect. This then allows us a deeper access, and we deepen our own dominions. We become the ruler. We become the ruler, right? We measure out our frequencies in a more accessible way. We then create our own rulership. I did a whole flow on our ship. I've done that with some of my friends before. I think Candace and Jess and even Carrie Ann and I were on the same flow for a while there. This rulership. And we then allow ourselves to break the locks. I keep seeing this combination lock. And I'm hearing teeth, like we take a bite into it. We break these other, boy, there's so much that just kind of came in. Woof, poof. So when I say ruler, we take stock. We take measurements. When I say we take stock, I see pictures. So you know when you go to look at something online, you want to use that picture, somebody puts their fingerprint on it. That's their finger on their pulse. That's part of what they do. That's their stock. It has their logo on it because they used it or created it. And we're being guided to take measurement of our own stock, our own, not only self-worth, and I'm hearing let go of what we think has been stacked up against us and move into our own stock market. We then begin to market ourselves and move out of these divisive mechanisms that have been used in previous market shares and stockholder divisions. That's all a play on words. That which was created in order to move us into building stock on something that created division. So this is, when I say all these words, it's taking me into subsets, different bubbles. We could go into the subset of the stock market. We could go in the subset of our money and value system. We could go into our own, that which we feel is marketable, that which we feel is shareable, that which we feel we have access to has expanded, and it becomes more shareable, and it moves us into our own market ability. This is such a play on words I'm seeing. Ooh, I'm hearing marketability. So our markaba, our body, our light body, that which moves us into a deeper spin and a deeper resonance all comes from within. And then we find the juice that literally flows throughout our entire being. I'm hearing our corpse, our incorporation, so each of us, some people are looking for that. They're not finding the value within themselves. And as I'm saying this, I just keep seeing the golden frequency of the heart. And then we find what brings us joy. And guys, it's literally infinite. Some people haven't even discovered their beginning of their potential yet. And imagine what the world, from one perspective, is going to look like. When I say one, I mean it's this heartbeat, but it's a fractal, and not every part of the fractal looks the same. And that's the beauty of it. If you guys have ever looked at, I subscribe to someone on Instagram, I think it's Wayne Visual. He does a lot of these fractal visualizations. And if you look at a fractal visualization, yeah, you're taking it into oneness and you're seeing how everything's connected, but it looks different. It doesn't necessarily have that same font, because each of us holds, I'm probably gonna run out of room here, but I'm just gonna keep going, right? Rock till the wheels fall off. Not each of us has the same visualization. Not each of us holds the same perspective. I choose to hold many different perspectives, but I also love the fact that somebody else might bring more awareness that I never saw before, and I might go, wow, that's a really great perspective. Thank you for offering that. And sharing that shareable energy and shareable wave, especially if it's coming from the heart. Can I be in a place of sovereignty, but also neutrality, but also openness to understanding that they may not hold the same values as I do? Now I could go into that subset or bubble and talk about the value system, but everything's being reset. It's that simple. We've had the reset button. We just had it with this eclipse and with the energies lining up with all the planets helping us feel into the bigger lattice work, the bigger crystal combination sets that are clicking into place that hold, I'm hearing accessibility, accountability, a bigger framework, collapsibility. I'm hearing collapsing of the old, collapsing in on itself. I just had a flow with some friends, Chris, collapsing, time collapsing, and Annette and Tracy, you guys, Becky, Paula, this collapsing into times. And part of the reason I've seen certain perspectives and had validation on certain perspectives is my own view and angles is because other people, friends of mine in this network, in this community, right, are sharing this from their own perspective. So when I say this, I'm seeing this crystal connection, this lattice work, this web that interlaces with all things in a oneness and unification. But again, it's a sound. We are creating this sound. And where the frequency before that was rippling out was distress and distortion. And while that is still there, obviously, we're seeing it playing out in the collective spider web that we're all weaving together. When I say spider web, I'm seeing it spelled spy, SPHIDER, all kinds of plays and words around that. We're having, again, this framework of division that is literally collapsing in on itself, creating implosion. And everything, I think there's a movie out right now, Everything Here Now. It's like, yeah, it's all here right now. What are we going to do with it? And so the more we go within and we hold that space for ourselves, the more we tune into a different key frequency, a different aha moment, a different ability to see a farther trajectory, to see behind us and recognize where we've come from, to see in front of us and have the path illuminated, yet not have to know exactly how that's going to look or unfold. Having the trust. And I always talk about that when I say trust, I see building trust, the trust bridge. Because when we hold that heartfelt centeredness, it creates a vibrational match, a flame, a fire. It lights a match. It matches and pulls more in to this implosion that's going on in this community, this community, commingling, communification that we are all part of. And while at times this looks like disorder, it looks like disarray, it looks like chaos, this can feel massive. It can feel vulnerable. It can feel emotional. It can feel like we're not sure where we fit in all of this. Yet, the more we come into that place of stillness and recognition, we can also recognize it's okay to feel that way, because that's part of the human connection. That's part of the experience that we are all processing together. And so many of these things that are playing out are being utilized as triggers, and I'm hearing trigonometry. They trigger us into a higher geometry. If we can be present with what is unfolding, imploding, moving, and becoming obsolete. So I'm hearing, if we can let go of the need to be obtuse and find a different angle, and as we allow ourselves to stay in our sovereignty, our rulership, to rule our own dominion, and allow the dominoes to all fall down, if you will, and then reveal the codes that are encapsulated within those experiences, within those moments, within those patterns that are still showing up for us moment to moment. And then when we recognize that, we then allow ourselves to feel into, what does that feel like now that I'm able to tune out things that are no longer consistent with my reality or my version of who I am now, my version of what I'm creating. I'm hearing version 3.0, version 4.0, version 5.0. And sometimes we have to go back into that old program. I'm hearing docile components to then I'm hearing recapitulate, recap what it is that we are, I'm seeing recognizing, remembering, accessing. I have to remind myself sometimes, I just had a really magical day yesterday. Because it's easy to forget and get in my head when maybe this moment doesn't feel like it's expansive as it was a day ago, 24 hours ago. And I'm being guided to kind of go into that. What does that really mean? What is 24 hours? What is that really? Because that's still here now. Can I go back and pull from that and remember that and recognize that that was real, to help get me through those moments that aren't as, I'm hearing, high up on the Richter scale. So this is also play on words. We've got a lot of earth changes that are coming in, because as we're expanding, as we are, I'm hearing, we're graphing into. I'll have to sit with this and play with this. We're moving through planes of existence. I'm seeing us deboarding. It's like we're moving out of one plane into another plane, but that's already happened. But I'm hearing people are feeling like they're being jostled around. Where do I go? What does this look like? Getting lost in the shuffle. Again, every day I'm shuffling. But that's part of this. And when we hold on to the truth that we have a body, we have a choice, we have a heart, we have this device within our own mechanisms, our own skin suit, our own ability to tune into, not get lost in the confusion. So I just went into 5 different speech patterns. Patterns of recognition, of recognizing a collective bubble within a bubble. Seeing what the different bubbles are possibly tuning into, moving out of, moving through. So seeing where we fit in that pattern. And when I say moving into a different angle, when we're trying to fit a square peg in a round hole, I'm being guided to soften, we're being guided to soften the edges and become more liquid crystal, so that we can move into many different angles and patterns. And I'm being shown that this space around the earth, our bodies, our realities, if we want to call them matrices, are mathematically changing. Therefore, the shape is changing. Therefore, the geometries, the sound is changing. And I'm also I'm hearing the color code combinations. And I'm seeing a rainbow that's bowing out again. And sometimes that bowing out, that expansive and expansivity can feel strange. That's all there is to it, and that's okay. So, I'm just going to end with a little light language and probably run out of video here, but we have been preparing for this as beings on this planet, as beings with this planet, as beings as part of this planetary system. For we are all connected to, deeply embedded with Earth, arc history, all plays on words. We are tuning this ship, if you will. And so therefore, as we create this remembered, renewed companionship with Earth, we begin to trip certain activation codes. We begin to trip certain play on words. I'm hearing what a long, strange trip it's been. We begin to, and I'm seeing tri-pattern recognition. turha yat ekiti adahar oti nekiara nikar urha yat ekira bikur ayatukura. We have all the tools we need. Let us remember that we have all the tools we need. Let us remember that. Let us remember that we are so much more than just walking, talking dictionaries. Let us remember more than what we have been told by them. For there is no us and them. There is only, I'm hearing CH, like chemistry, combinations, chem, heaven. This is all a play on words. I'm just seeing this. We're moving all of this together whether we like it or not. So find our balance that allows us to feel what it is that we like. And I'm being guided to play with that word, liken to, light into, that which lights us up, that we are akin to, that which makes us feel at home here, on our home, on our own planetary. I'm just being shown how important it is for us to realize that. All right, I'm going to tune out because I know I'm running out of time. In love and light, guys. Just feeling into the heart space, taking a deep breath in. Bringing that breath all the way into the body from the air that surrounds the body. Connecting into our body of water, our container, our holding space, our skin suit, our cells, our heart, our organs. Breathing that space, that breath into us and expanding our inner space, our inner knowingness, Tishturahaya. Feeling into the movement of the breathing, grounding and anchoring this frequency of love into the heart, through our feet into the earth. This is just meant to be felt. Open to receive all of the energies that are pouring up from the earth, pouring in from the sun and all of our planetary